I'm getting a lot of questions on how to prepare your communities for what's happening with the federal government and federal agencies coming in and conducting ICE operations, or otherwise using tactics that seem to form a pattern of creating otherwise their own private militarized force for suppressing resistance. And specifically, I want to point you to something that is a subset of back-end organizing called systems organizing. Systems organizing starts off with power mapping and asset mapping, understanding the whole playing field, the whole three-dimensional chessboard of where both allies and oppositions have power, have influence, what their structures look like, and how they operate. That might sound like a lot, but it's incredibly important to understand, because the point in which building resistance movements and revolutions, etc., that end up breaking is where crisis mode ends, where everyone's just responding and focused on the moment, and have to start reorganizing efforts to figure out systems for communication, for organizing and sharing resources, for coordinating, for creating some kind of platform to get information to the public. That often results in infighting and otherwise a collapse of what was thought to be sustainable structures. That's usually when you see infiltration at its most, because those little disruptions by the opponent is what causes that infighting to happen and those collapse to ultimately occur. So a big part of systems organizing is figuring out not only how to work during crisis mode, but how to build the infrastructure to create sustainable movements going past the time in which the crisis is actually happening. Because when the crisis ends, everyone's done being present in the moment, and suddenly you need systems for sustained communication, for coordinating, for being able to share and document resources, having some kind of platform for being able to get information out to the public and be able to contradict the disinformation campaigns and propaganda that's being put out by the opposition, which in this case is the Trump administration, pretty much every federal law enforcement agency, and the Heritage Foundation. But see, the most important part of systems organizing isn't just understanding what infrastructural pieces need to exist, but understanding the pieces of infrastructure that the opponents use. How are they forming their organizations? How are they building out their media platforms? How are they going about marketing? How are they getting their funding? How are they organizing themselves in the think tanks? Because if we can take elements of that and replicate it on our side, but with an actual moral compass that cares about social and environmental and political and economic justice, we can start making massive headways, both with dismantling the systems of oppression that they're using, but also being able to build up more structure and resources on our side to continue to combat them. I'll go into systems organizing more in a future video, but what I want you to start thinking about is how in your community you can start building the infrastructure that you need. Legal teams, independent media, a funding source, a way to be able to communicate between different efforts that are happening, and otherwise a structure to hold everyone together. That's step one.